All right. Thank you guys for joining us today. Today we're with Thomas Martin. He's a wildfire project manager with Cabin Resource Management. He's been in the field of wildfire for over a decade and currently works with communities and governments on their wildfire planning and, when needed, responds to wildfires. Good day, Thomas. Thank you for joining us.
Good day. Thanks for having me on.
So I told you, I saw your work on Twitter. I thought it was really brilliant, and you had sort of an open call to ask people to use you as a resource. So I'm going to do that right now, and I'm hoping you'll share some of your intel with us here at FireSmart. So the first thing I wanted to ask you about was the reason that I saw your article in the first place, and that you were talking about predicting fire seasons. So can you speak a little bit about how you do that?
Yeah, it's on a longer term scale, like a couple months out, it really comes down to water. It comes down to how much water do you have falling from the sky that's keeping those fuels wet, or how much water you don't have falling from the sky and allowing the fuels to dry out. And so that's why meteorologists are able to give they can forecast trends. They can say that it's probably going to be drier this summer, or it's probably going to be wetter this summer, but they won't be able to tell you if it's going to rain on July 17th. And so right now I can tell you that of three options for this fire season, it will either be above average, below average, or average. And a meteorologist will be able to tell you what the probabilities of each of those are. The best I can do is tell you that it's either going to be above average, below average, or average.
And what do you base that on? Like, what are the factors that you're looking at when you're making those assessments?
So there's kind of two factors I look at when making those assessments. You have your longer range factors and then your day of factors. So if you're looking at longer range, it's a measure of how wet are your fuels, and you have different sizes of fuels and they retain moisture for a different length of time. And that can be impacted by the amount of rain we have, but it can also be impacted by snowpack. And if that snowpack persists into July, the snow keeps the fuels wet into July. And so that kind of, it again comes back to water for your longer term predictions, longer term forecasting. And then on your actual day of, it depends on what the temperature is on the day of, how much wind you have, and what the relative humidity is, the amount of water in your air. Those all impact fire behavior on the day of your fire.
Okay, so now that we kind of know how that works, can you explain the differences between wildfire risk where you are, which is you're sort of southern BC, we're northern BC up here. What's the difference in our wildfire risk?
I'd say the most striking distance is the seasonality of it. So I'm currently in the southern Okanagan, and we do get a spring season, but our spring season is typically low elevation grass fires. So they move quickly and they're put out quickly. In the Peace region, you are part of more or less Alberta's northern ecosystem. You share the ecosystem and you get the spring dip. So actually some of your highest days for fire spread come in April.
Really? That's a lot earlier than I think people expect.
Yeah, and so that's why often when I was a full-time firefighter, we would get exported early season to the northeast of BC, because your fire season typically, when you do have one, comes sooner. You'd still get fires in July and August, but you have a very aggressive spring season.
Okay, so in a wildfire situation, I think people maybe don't really understand the science involved about how homes actually ignite under those circumstances. How do homes catch on fire in most cases during wildfire events? That
is a really good question, and it's really important because most homes that ignite from a wildfire actually ignite from ember showers. So you think generally you have two ways of a home igniting. Either the flame front moves into the home and ignites the home, or you have the embers ahead of the fire that are cast, and these ember showers in extreme conditions can go 10, to 30 kilometers. That's very extreme.
That's
But
quite windy or something that would
yeah,
send those away.
those are record-setting levels. But a couple hundred meters to a kilometer is actually typical. And it's those embers ahead of the flame front that ignite the homes, or from a short distance. And the vast majority of structures that are lost from these ember showers.
So the ember showers are catching on all of that sort of like debris that falls down in the fall, where the wind sweeps things. So that's where the wind sweeps the leaves and the other flammable debris. That's where the embers are going to travel as well, right? So
exactly, and that's a fantastic point, because embers ignite most of homes. Most of the work that you can do to prevent this is the easiest and the cheapest work to do. So you're looking at, I changed my parents' attitude. So instead of them cleaning their gutters in the fall, in preparation for the rain in the fall and the leaves, they now clean the gutters and their roofs in the spring, because in the summer any debris on your roof or any debris in your gutter is dry, and that's where embers can land and ignite. Same with any leaf drifts that you have on your deck or under your deck, or if you have stairs going down to your basement and the leaves collect there or the needles collect there, that's where the embers will likely land as well. Then the embers ignite those leaves, and those ignite your home.
So okay, let's say the risk is coming our way, and we are hearing about evacuation orders and evacuation notices. What is the sort of the protocol there and the timeline if that were to happen in your community, in our community?
So if there's a chance that a wildfire will impact a community, you typically get evacuation notice, and that is a signal to be ready within 30 minutes, or be ready to leave within 30 minutes. Because if it's upgraded to evacuation order, that is an order to leave your home, an order to leave your community, and that's a grab your bag and go. That being said, those wildfires are very, very fast-moving situations, so it can very quickly go from nothing to an evacuation order.
Right, if the conditions are right and it's dry enough, it's dry and there's lots of wind, we got a real situation.
Exactly.
That last summer when things were so crazy, that heat dome was happening, and then everything was so dry, it was so hot, and the wind was so really just so strong. We had a lot of worries about things here last season because of those conditions. So what can people do? What's the most important thing people can do to get ready? First steps.
I'd say the first steps to get ready are two things. One is having your evacuation plan ready and have it discussed with your family, and as a part of that, having your evacuation bag ready. And the other one is looking at fire smarting your home. And you can either get resources online to fire out that, or you can contact your local fire smart representative.
Yeah, contact us. Yeah.
So those are the two great first steps: is have your evacuation plan and your evacuation bag, and have your home fire smarted.
And the fire smarting techniques, they really have made a difference in post-fire studies. I'm kind of springing this one on you, but from what I've read, there's been a great difference between communities that have fire smart techniques in place and those that don't. Have you seen anything like that?
Yes, I have seen fires where the fire has completely decimated an area, and the homes that are survived are the ones with trees well back from the structures and green lawns, and then their neighbors and multiple neighbors' homes are gone. So it obviously nothing is a silver bullet, but fire smarting principles work, and they do save homes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that, because that's what we want to share with people, is that these very low cost, minimal effort. I mean, a little bit of effort, obviously, but these things can make a huge difference between whether your structure survives an event or not. And I just want to say thank you for sharing your information with us and for agreeing to come on our little interview here. And can you let people know other ways to get a hold of you if they want to speak to you?
Yeah, you can find my very vocal personal opinions on Twitter. That's at Thomas4BC. Or if you want to connect with me professionally, our website is cabinworks.ca.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Thomas. And I hope people hear what we have to say, and I hope they, take it and start working on their fire smart activities around their homes. Thanks again, and have a great day.
You're welcome.